Okay, welcome everyone. This is a public meeting to consider the proposed comprehensive official plan and zoning bylaw amendments listed as items 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, and 9 on today's agenda. For the items just mentioned, only those who make oral submissions today or written submissions before the amendments are adopted may appeal the matter to the local planning appeal tribunal. In addition, the applicant may appeal the matter to the local planning appeal tribunal if council does not adopt an amendment within 150 days of receipt of the application for zoning and 210 days for an official plan amendment. A comment sheet is available at the door for anyone wishing to submit written comments on these amendments. And I wanted to add something else today. Things have changed around here a little bit with the demise, if you will, of the OMB and the resurrection, if you will, of the local tribunal. And what I think it's important that we do is if you have any motions on any items listed today, so if anyone's sitting there with a motion you intend to put forward later, do it now, because it will give the colleagues the opportunity to see it, the public that's here the opportunity to see it, and the applicant certainly the opportunity and the right to see it and speak to it. Okay, so that's going to be something new I'm going to be saying all the time. So that all of us, so there's a level playing field. Anyway, so if you have any motions, bring them forward. If you think of motions as you're listening to the delegations, immediately bring them forward so that staff have a chance to see them. Certainly, we all are we're better at serving if we are all aware. Okay, so any declarations of interest? None? Confirmation of minutes of the minute 64 from the 22nd of May 2018. Are they carried? Item number 1, we're holding that for a presentation. It is the official plan and zoning amendments for Cleary and New Orchard Stations area. I think there's people here that have been involved and are interested in having that presented. Number 2 is the zoning bylaw amendment, 929 Richmond Road and 108 Woodruff Avenue. I do have a delegation in opposition, so we'll hold number 2. There is a presentation on that as well. Item number 3 is the zoning bylaw amendment, 4791 Bank Street out in the Leitrim area. Does anyone have any questions? Is the item carried? Yes. Thank you. And then we have the zoning floodplain mapping updates, phase 2. I don't have any speakers on this. Does anybody have any questions? Nope. I'm sure if you want to send them any notes, you will. Is it on the Richmond stuff?
No, I have questions about notification to...
Okay. Sure. So is this item carried?
Carried.
Thank you. Okay, number 5 is the Hope Side Road diversion pipe. Councillor Hubley has a motion. Do you want to put that on the floor now?
Thank you, Madam Chair. If it's okay, I can go right to the, therefore be it resolved that the Planning Committee recommend that Council approve an increase to the expenditure authority for capital projects, stormwater management, rehabilitation, and environmental compliance funded from the Stormwater Drainage Development Charge Reserve Fund, item 3.0544, and delegate authority to the General Manager of Planning, Infrastructure, and Economic Development to enter into a third-party infrastructure agreement with South Canada Development Corporation for the design and construction of the Hope Side Road storm sewer diversion pipe as described in this report to an upset limit of $346,520.78 plus tax.
Does anyone else? Okay, what that's doing is when the report was put onto the agenda, Finance had not included their comments. This is adding Finance's comments. No. So, on the motion?
Carried.
Carried.
Thank you.
Okay, on the item as amended? Carried. And then Councillor Hubley?
One other motion on that, whereas this report listed on today's Planning Committee agenda would normally rise to Council for consideration at its meeting on June 27, 2018, and whereby the delay finalizing the details of this report, and whereas it is desirable to expedite the consideration of this report by Council to avoid any further delay, therefore be it resolved that the Planning Committee recommend Council suspend notice required under Section 29(3) and 34-1 of Procedure Bylaw 2016-377 to consider this report at its meeting on 13th of June. And the reason for this, folks, is this is over a 3-year-old issue. We, as the chair alluded to, there was a requirement to put a pipe in from the greenbelt to take the storm water and get it down to our stormwater pond. We asked the developer to put the pipe in for us at an agreed upon price. When he went in to put the pipe in, another contractor, Enbridge, I'm going to take the risk and name them, had put their pipes where our stormwater pipe was supposed to be. So the developer took the extra cost and got the pipe in the ground at another location, and that's why we now owe some money to compensate for this work and get the stormwater where we want it to go. So this is the purpose of it, and it's 3 years old, so that's why we're asking to rise it to tomorrow to get to clear the deck on this. And if I could take a moment, I want to thank Tim Mark for his excellent work over 3 years to bring this to a resolution. It wouldn't have happened without him, and so I really appreciate his efforts.
Well, thank you,
so
Jack,
thank you. I hope I get your support on this motion.
Yeah. So on the motion to send this to council tomorrow, is it carried?
Yes.
And I should have asked Andrew Finson. Andrew, are you here? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I had you here, but you were only here to speak if we got stuck in the weeds or the stormwater pond or something. Okay, thank you. So the next item is the zoning bylaw amendment, part of 175 and part of 375 March Valley Road. This is to permit a golf course as a temporary use for a 3-year period. Anybody have any questions? Is it carried? Perfect. Okay, then we have the zoning for applying the mature neighborhoods overlay to lands within the Dow's Lake, Linden Lee, Vanier, and Overbrook areas. Is this carried?
Carried.
Thank you. The next one up we have, and just on that, I was talking to some staff this morning, and they are going to look beyond this area. Sort of like we're doing as we look at infill 1, we measure what it looks like and that kind of thing. So there's some flexibility there. Thank you, Mr. Wise. Good luck with your daughter's play. Next up is Island Park Drive, Island Park Crescent, and Harmer Avenue South, minimum front yard setback provisions, and we do have, we do have Professor Paul Forster here if needed. Oh, we have another person now, Bruce Enstone. And so, both gentlemen, where are you? Okay, so if we're prepared to carry this, you are happy with that? Good, that's great. Are we prepared to carry this? This was a great agreement in the community. Yeah. We're good, carried? Thanks very much for coming out. Okay, and then last item on the list is the highway name change application to change the name in Stittsville of Place Winterset Place to Place Allen Moore Place. And this one's been vetted, et cetera, et cetera. Anyone have any questions on it for Councillor Kadri? No? Is it carried? Carried. Good. All right. So we will go back to the beginning and have a presentation on the official plan and zoning amendments, Clary and New Orchard Stations area. And I would mention that Deputy Mayor and Councillor Mark Taylor is here today. I know that many people have done a lot of work on this item, so we'll have a look at the presentation. whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Good morning. This item is the new area-specific policy for the Cleary and New Orchard Stations area, which encompasses the neighborhoods that surround two new stations on the Line 2 West extension, Confederation Line 2 West, west of Westboro. The file lead is Emily Davies, and I'll turn it over to her for a presentation. Thank you.
So I should announce to everybody that this is Alam Nicholas and Emily Davis.
All right, thank you, everyone. So the Cleary and New Orchard study kicked off in June of 2016. We had 2 public open houses and 2 online surveys. We had working group meetings as well as technical advisory meetings, and the draft official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment was released to the public in February for public comment. The study area is up on your screen. It extends from Cleary Avenue to the east, the Ottawa River to the north, Sir John A. Macdonald Parkway to the west, and Byron Avenue to the south. The study includes 5 different communities, including Ambleside, Woodruff North, Wood Park, McKellar Park, and Carlingwood. There are 2 wards included in this area, Ward 15 being Kitchissippi and Ward 7 being Bay. And there are 2 LRT stations, as Raylene mentioned earlier, at Cleary Avenue and New Orchard Avenue. The vision for this area is that Richmond Road will continue to be a dynamic traditional main street. The Byron linear corridor running to the south will be a key green corridor in the area, and it will be an attractive and livable residential community. Oops. The area-specific policy that we're introducing as part of the official plan amendment includes different land use designations for the area. The Ambleside area, which is in the kind of yellowish to the north, is an apartment neighborhood designation. The red area is a station area designation surrounding the upcoming LRT station. The purple area is traditional Main Street. We're introducing institutional mixed use for the Unitarian campus in the blue, and low-rise and mid-rise residential uses on the south side of Byron, including a couple institutional uses. The highlights of the land use policies that we're including, as well as some of the zoning provisions, include introducing or reintroducing floor space index as part of the Ambleside area. Floor space index previously existed prior to amalgamation, and we're looking to bring it back for that area and introduce some policies to guide future infill development. The institutional mixed-use area, which is the Unitarian campus, we're looking to provide policy direction for maximum heights at the time of future redevelopment, as well as some infill policies to ensure proper transition to the Woodruff North community. The traditional Main Street segment of the study area, we're looking to include some policy direction for maximum heights for future development, while recognizing the ongoing development applications of Azure and Homestead by providing grandfathering clauses within the policy. The station area and a segment of the traditional Main Street, we are looking to introduce density redistribution. The map up on the screen shows the properties where we're looking to introduce density redistribution. And density redistribution essentially is utilizing the existing density that they have as of right today, which in a broad sense is typically 8 stories in a box-like format, to allow them to go to a higher height in the form of towers and podiums. So there's about 5 or 6 sites that we're looking to introduce that density redistribution to. We're also looking to apply the mature neighborhoods overlay to the surrounding residential communities outside of the study area, as well as apply the maximum or Area Z parking requirement, which is essentially reduced parking requirements for the area. I also wanted to quickly note that we are moving forward with removing the proposal for micro retail on the south side of Byron. That was initially part of the staff's proposal. However, after responding to public concerns with that, as well as a need to consolidate the retail on the traditional Main Street portion along Richmond Road, we've decided to remove that as part of the component. And I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. When I was looking at it, and I have not been involved, I have been briefed a couple of times during the process, but just wondering, with Lincoln Fields or Lincoln Heights, what are we calling it now, Lincoln Fields? It's been both over the decades. But anyways, Lincoln Fields being a big study area, of, 14 acres or something like that, and on a higher level. So, and imagining a lot of density and height because it's beside a very large transit station at Lincoln Fields. And with the height of Ambleside that it currently is, I'm wondering why instead of ramping up towards it, there's almost a flat area just to the west of Woodruff, and with not much height. What was your thinking on that?
Sorry, just so I have the map back on the screen here. So this is Woodruff, I believe, right here. And there are a number of properties to the east of Woodruff. Is that what you're mentioning?
No, this way.
To the west of Woodruff. There are a number of properties to the west of Woodruff here that also have very tall buildings. There's Park Place,
which I know. That's what I'm saying. Like there are ones that are high. So, but in between there, I saw a 6-story, I think. It's just.
Okay. Oops, sorry. In the density redistribution, this provision or this map shows you the heights of the buildings that could be accommodated. So 20 stories would be going on the, I believe it's an auto use currently. This is Park Place, which is 28, stepping down to 18, 16, and 9.
Okay.
Madam Chair, through the consultation, it came across that this area here is not an intensification target area per se. It's a traditional main street. So what we're doing is allowing on the lots that are larger and can support taller buildings the ability for people to come in and have the flexibility to reshape what the zoning allows them to do into something more of a main street kind of frame and a taller element deeper inside into the lot. But that would take place through a zoning process so that we have a chance to treat each of these sites one by one.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? No? Hang on a minute. I just want to make sure I don't have any speakers. I don't have any speakers. Yeah, and we do have a technical motion, which I would like, because Councillor Nussbaum and Councillor Chiarelli, you missed this at the beginning. In addition to, what I normally read, I ask that anybody has any motions at all as they come in here, that they share them. And as you prepare them while listening to delegations or the applicant or stuff, at the time of, so that the colleagues have time to look at, staff certainly do, the delegations do, and the applicant as well. So this one, go ahead, Councillor Leifer.
Thanks, Chair. So a technical amendment on this report, whereas this report recommends zoning changes to apply to the mature neighborhoods overlay to the adjacent residential neighborhoods to the Cleary and New Orchard light rail transit stations, and whereas the western boundary was erroneously placed down the middle of Edgeworth Avenue, therefore be it resolved, the Planning Committee recommend Council approve that the western boundary be adjusted to include the western portion of Edgeworth Avenue, and that location map 4 of document 3 be replaced by the attached, and be it further resolved that there be no further notice pursuant to subsection 3417 of the Planning Act.
Okay, on that item, is it carried? On the motion, sorry, is it carried? And then on the item as amended, is it carried? Right, and you know what, now I should have gone with comments before that, but I don't think it matters. We're carrying it, but both of you have done a lot of work. Who wants to go first? Councillor Taylor?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say a couple of things. First and foremost, I want to thank the community for being involved in this study. I know we have representatives from the Woodruff North community here today. I want to thank them for being involved in this study, as well as all of the other neighborhoods. And I want to thank Elaine, Emily, and the staff. It has been a tremendously hard job for them to do what is essentially a conceptual view of the future development in this corridor while they have live development applications coming throughout the corridor, which can be contemplated now. To the Chair's comment about height, I think working with the community, the staff really tried to split the difference and said, look, this is an area where we do want to realize that there's going to be some intensification because of the 2 LRT stations at Cleary and New Orchard. But the views, the vistas that are provided from the residential neighborhoods, particularly Wood Park and Carlingwood, that have a view of the river, have a view of the Gatineau Hills, they wanted to ensure that we didn't have an unbroken wall of tall buildings on the one side of Richmond. And I also want to thank the staff for working with the community, Councillor Leeper and myself, to remove the retail portion that was originally contemplated to go in on the south side of the corridor at Byron. I think it just makes much better sense with all of the opportunity that's going to emerge on the Main Street Richmond side, that this would be the ideal place. And certainly in the future, if businesses come along, and they can certainly apply if they feel there's a need on Byron, but I think throughout the study and working with the community, we feel there's going to be a good mix of intensification, modernization, and also the preservation of what the LRT coming through here. Outside of the downtown core, this is one of the most developed and oldest parts of the city where the LRT is going to be coming through. So it's been, in many respects, like threading a needle. And so I want to thank the community and the staff for working very hard to see this day come. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Leeper?
Thank you, Chair. I just want to reiterate Councillor Taylor's remarks with respect to thanking the community. McKellar Park has not had nearly as intense a look at city planning issues as they have until this process. It was a long one. It's been really a couple of years. And I think it's important to note that not only have we been looking at the planning study, but many of the consultations were also looking at the complete street treatment for Richmond, as well as the Byron Park the Byron Linear Park redevelopment. And at the same time, many members of McKellar Park were also been engaged in ongoing discussions about the alignment of the LRT. It's a lot happening, and I want to thank the McKellar Park Community Association particularly for their increasingly sophisticated, mature, and pragmatic approach to this. We know that we're going to get denser and taller, and I think the lack of opposition that we're seeing today is really indicative of the degree to which this has been a very good collaboration. I would be remiss if I didn't take advantage of this opportunity as well to once more raise the fact that the city now owns 727 Cleary, which is near our transit station, and that makes an awesome opportunity for affordable housing moving forward. So we have some clear direction, not from this plan, but from the OMB about how tall that development can get. But I do hope that staff are looking at it, and I know they are looking at it as an affordable housing near transit opportunity. My thanks to staff for juggling so many balls in the air throughout this process.
Thank you. So sometimes when you take the time that you need, it works out very well. So thanks very much, everyone. Thank you. The only other item that's held today is the zoning bylaw amendment 929 Richmond Road and 108 Woodruff Avenue, and we are having a presentation on that from Laurel McCrate.
Madam Chair, the file lead on this is Laurel McCrate. She has a very brief presentation for you today, and of course we're happy to answer any questions.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of committee, as well as members of the public. As Derek has said, my name is Laurel McCrate. I'm a planner in Development Review West, and I've been the file lead on this zoning bylaw amendment for 929 Richmond Road and 108 Woodruff Avenue. The image before you on the screen illustrates the subject property, which is highlighted in yellow. It is west of Woodruff Avenue, north of Richmond Road, just south of the Woodruff North community. To the south, there's various uses, such as a funeral home, a school, and a church. And to the east are several retail and residential uses. This image illustrates a little bit of the development that's taking place in the corridor right now along Richmond Road. The yellow arrow highlights our subject property. Directly to the left of it, with the red star, is an existing 9-story rental apartment that's on Richmond Road. Moving east, so to the right down Richmond Road, we have an existing 11-story apartment building illustrated by the blue star. The green star below that, there is a current site plan proposal for another 11-story building that will replace the surface parking lot. And further to the right, with the two I guess, yellow-orange mustard stars, is the Christie's development that you saw before you last year for a 5 and 24-story building. That currently has zoning, but there is no site plan application in for that development. So I thought it would be a good idea to take you through the evolution of this project from when it was first submitted back in November to where it stands today. There is a concurrent site plan application that we're working through. So on the left-hand side there, you see the building as it was proposed back in November, and on the right is the current form that it's in today. This project did go to the Urban Design Review Panel twice. So I thought it would be important to highlight some of the changes that we took from recommendations from the panel, as well as the numerous comments we received from the public, as well as internal and external agencies. So some important things to highlight would be the introduction of a 4-story podium. On the right-hand side, the podium is anchored by Richmond and Woodruff, whereas before it was only a 2-story podium, as shown on the left-hand side. Before, there was also less of a transition to the Woodruff North community, which was a very important factor for us in how this building would play a role in the community, since it is kind of at the gateway. So now there are several step backs proposed at the 5th, 14th, and 19th stories. So we feel that this transitions much better to the community than it did previously. On the left is the site plan right now, and it has changed several times since November. And on the right is a rendering of the north elevation that directly faces Woodruff North. So you can see there's a home in the bottom right-hand corner that is the closest to the building right now. So you can see that there is the 4-story podium that's facing Woodruff Walk, is kind of right between the building and that tree there. It's a publicly accessible walkway. So the 4-story podium abuts that, and then it steps back, like I said earlier, at the 5th, 14th, and 19th stories, so transitioning a little bit better. A few other comments I'd like to highlight is the introduction of a 4.5-meter wide landscaped rear yard setback that abuts Woodruff Walk as well as the podium, and that again is feedback that we heard from the public. So I just in the red there, I circled where the transition will start at the 15th story. And right above that is the underground parking garage. Before, the entrance was not enclosed in the podium. It was open to the public, and now it is just enclosed. So that is something that we think positively addresses the application. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. I think we do have a public delegation, so I think we'll go there first. So if anyone has any questions for Ms. McCrate or Mr. Moody, just hang on to them till after the delegation. We actually have Diana LeBreton. Diana, are you here? Come on forward. Sit in this chair right beside Ms. McCrate. And thank you for sending your submission ahead of time.
So on.
So, I think, is this your first time coming here?
Yes.
I thought so. I don't, because I don't recognize you, and I don't recognize your name. And I've been here for a long time, so I just wanted to tell you that you have 5 minutes. Everybody gets the same amount of time to speak. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. I've submitted a couple of comments with regards to this project to the city. And what I did this morning, because I knew I only had 5 minutes, is I just typed up a quick review.
Could you please pull the mic closer to you?
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Diana LeBreton, and I own a property located at 87 Woodruff Avenue, which is just north of the proposed building. I'm also a certified residential appraiser, and I have appraised in the city for over 30 years. In my previous statements, I have mentioned that the proposed building is just too high and too dense for this site, being located at a major intersection. The current proposed 20-story rental tower does not blend with the streetscape along Richmond Road, nor does it blend with the low-rise residential adjacent neighborhood of Woodruff North. Woodruff North is a unique pocket community. It's comprised of 108 residential dwellings. The tallest building in our community is only a 3-story residential property. So how does a 20-story, 166 rental building blend with our community or the communities north on the south side of Woodruff? The previously proposed building, the Azure, was approved. It's a 14-story, 93-unit, uniquely designed building, and it would complement the streetscape on Richmond Road, and it would also complement the streetscape on Woodruff. It would be the gateway to our community. In my opinion, this building should not be built at this major intersection. In the urban planning, in the urban design review panel, they stated that there is a complexity of this site, which has 3 prominent edges. They were struggling with the radical changes from the previous proposal, which is the Azure. Some of the panel members commented that the height and the orientation of the building and the proposed surface parking is not conducive with this site. The panel also wanted mass reductions on some of the visual impacts of this building. I believe that the building, the way it sits right now, it is an attractive building, but it is not the Azure. The Azure is a beautiful building. This building would end up being an eyesore for our community. I would also like to touch on the traffic issues. As a resident of Woodruff Avenue for over 20 years, the traffic flow on this street on Woodruff has drastically increased. Light rail will not eliminate the traffic problems on this street because the majority of the cars that are in front of my house have Quebec plates on them because they are traveling to where they work. It takes me 10 minutes to get out of my driveway in the morning. When I return in the evening, I'm turning left to go north on Woodruff. I can't even get through the light. This proposed building has 2 accesses, one on Woodruff, one on Richmond Road. Both are entering into left turning lanes. It is going to be disastrous. The building needs to be downscaled. It's a little bit too big. I believe the traffic issues that will occur is a death trap. I've lived there long enough. I've seen cars smash into the old building that was there, smash into the Kentucky Fried Chicken that used to be on the other corner. This is going to be a nightmare. There's just too much density. Also, as an appraiser for 30 years in this city, I do not know of one other high-rise building, 20 stories, situated on such a small site on a major intersection. I believe the city needs to intensify, and I agree with it totally, but let's select a building. Let's go back to the original plan, which was very attractive and was very conducive to our neighborhood. I'm hoping that you do not approve this building. It will be an eyesore for those people who live on Woodruff. Also, the residential house right beside this building, he's had it up for sale now for over a month. Everybody along that street, our property values are going to go down drastically. Not just on Woodruff, but those houses that are abutting this property. So please reconsider approving this. Thank you.
Can I just ask you a question, please?
Yes.
You were commenting about both of the accesses to the building, one on Richmond, one on Woodruff. Both are emptying out into left turn lanes.
Yes, that's
I'm having a hard time understand the one on Richmond. Where's the left turn lane there?
Right there, if you are going east on Richmond Road, there is a left turn lane for people to enter northbound on Woodruff to access the parkway. They are entering right into that turn lane. And that light, you can't get through that light as it is.
I don't understand that.
Laurel, can you...
Laurel or Derek? I don't understand it.
I don't think I'm following either, but maybe I can clarify. Does this work, or do we have a pointer?
Do we have a pointer? Yeah. We do.
Okay. It doesn't matter. So the entrance onto Richmond Road there, through the site plan, it will be limited to a right in, right out, so we will avoid the hassle of having left-hand turns coming out onto Richmond Road. We're working through with transportation onto Woodruff what we will be doing. This does have site plan approval for the previous development, and we will be taking a lot of those conditions that the previous approval provided that will limit the turning times into and out of the building based on rush hour peak hours in the morning and in the afternoon to avoid pretty much the hassle for the rest of the residents. But I'm not following where the left-hand turn.
No, that's what I'm not either.
Well, if you see where they're going in with, they're supposed to be going in.
Can you, Laurel, can you use something on the map to show as she's speaking to it so we can see?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right there, yeah.
So
Yes.
here. So this is Richmond. Okay, go up. You describe. I'll point.
Okay. This is the laneway that's coming out that services the parking at the rear of the building, and it's supposed to be for garbage, things like this. And yes, it's supposed to be limited to in and out traffic. But they are,
Right in and right out,
yeah,
as opposed to all turn.
yes.
So that's important.
When they come out of this, that onto Richmond Road, they are entering into the left turn lane. So even if we put a sign that says no left turn,
Didn't you say left turn lane heading east?
yeah, that's east.
You see, how is that going to happen? It's on the...
So the left turn.
You'd have to, you'd have to be one heck of a poor driver or something.
You would just be disobeying the sign, I feel,
Yeah,
like
so-
the issue's going. We can only do so much to, you know,
Yeah, it doesn't have a median there.
and it will.
So that would only happen if somebody came out and disobeyed the fact that it's right in, right out only.
I agree with you in that aspect. However, I sit at that corner to turn left many times onto Woodruff. We have an advanced arrow which only allows 2 cars through. Everybody runs the lights and you can't even get through. So now we're just going to compound it with cars coming out there. So that intersection would have to be reworked, and the lighting system and whatnot would have to be reworked to allow to rectify any issues that may be caused by this lane.
Yeah, we do have a lot of right in, right out only all over the city in new development, and in fact on Carling Avenue, for example. I think, Councillor Taylor, you have a question?
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for coming in and providing your insight as well. I just want to, this is a planning committee hearing with respect to this particular planning file as it sits right now, but to set the area in context, committee just approved kind of that broader tapestry of what will be happening in this corridor over the fullness of time. This entire street, so Richmond Road and the intersection right in front, we've long known have been problems in this area. And as part of the Stage 2 work, this entire corridor is being essentially removed and replaced with a complete street, which is going to have a very present amount of traffic controls, cycling segregation, pedestrian segregation, as well as the elimination of all of the kind of porous connections coming through from Wood Park out onto Richmond. So they'll all be sealed. So Wood Park's access will be from Woodruff, not onto Richmond. So, when we did the open house, I actually went to the last open house expecting to hear a lot about height, because that's typically what you hear about. But almost the entirety of the presentation and the discussion, and I think Laurel was surprised too, was all about traffic and traffic flows. So, I understand the applicant has a responsibility here, and I think we should impose that responsibility that they have to handle their traffic appropriately. But I think the only thing that's really going to make it better is when we get in there and do the complete street work, and that will also make it better for lots of other properties in this stretch.
And again, what's the timing for that?
Well, that's part of the Stage 2 build, so it would take place between 2021 and 2023. We don't have exact timing yet, although Stage 2 office has said because of the complexity of this stretch, they would likely do this at the front end, but of course that's ultimately up to the proponent. So we're a couple of years away. Given the timing on the building, the building will probably exist for a year or two before the complete street goes in.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. LeBreton, for coming out today.
Thank you.
Come back anytime.
Only when I'm very concerned.
Okay.
I don't want my property value to go down any more than it's going to.
Thank you. Rod Leahy. Rod?
Do you want this chair?
Doesn't matter. Just give me the buttons. Which is the buttons?
This.
Which one?
I don't know how you make it full screen.
Pardon me?
5?
Yeah.
Can you make it full screen or no? I don't know.
Yes.
Oh, yes, then how?
Isn't it F5?
I thought it was at 5 too.
Oh, here it goes. Yeah. I'm here really to answer questions. I can make a very quick presentation. I'll speak first to the site plan and actually the issue of access to the property. After the public meeting that Councillor Taylor mentioned, we did some changes, significant changes to the way the building works. As mentioned earlier, we increased the setback along the pedestrian pathway to ensure a constant green area, reduced the number of surface parking areas in behind, enclosed the access onto Woodruff Avenue, and most importantly, we redesigned the access to the rear parking lot. One of the issues, of course, with having the single access on Woodruff, and really through transportation, it was our only opportunity, was to have the access to the underground parking off Woodruff Avenue, just because of the reduced width of property on Richmond Road. It really was the only opportunity. What we didn't want to have is an area that the service vehicles would block an already restricted area on Woodruff Avenue. So we wanted all the shipping, receiving, the moving trucks, the garbage trucks, all to be able to come in Richmond Road. And so we, normally for a small parking lot of only 12 service areas, we would only have a 10-foot wide service lane going into it. So we actually reshaped the building, put a larger laneway in that's a full 20 feet wide to allow the garbage truck or moving van to actually park there, do their whatever they have to do, and then allow traffic to continue into that area. So that area at the back is really more of a service area to the building as opposed to parking. It has 12 parking spaces really to provide some quick, easy access for the commercial activity on the ground floor. So those are major changes that took place, along with the changes to the building. And then increased, there's also a requirement or a request to increase the amount of green space and sidewalk area along Woodruff Avenue and Richmond Road. So we looked at the opportunity to set the building back somewhat and to increase the sidewalk areas, increase the landscaping, and then this whole sidewalk will evolve and hopefully get even wider once they do the redevelopment of Richmond Road. The other is in the reshaping of the tower and working with the planning staff, and in particular comments from the original UDRP submission. We looked at the increase of the podium to have more of a street presence, and then a reduction of the tower plate. So the actual tower plate for the lower levels is less than the maximum of 750 square meters, and as we move up past the 14th floor, it even gets smaller, down to around 600 square meters. The building then continues to transition at the 20th floor with a terrace area for the amenity space. So you can just see on the image basically of that transitioning from the north to the south along Woodruff, how we step from the 4th floor up to the 15th and then up to the 20th. And again, on the rear, we also looked at a change of materials to reduce the mass of the building and general appearance, trying to slim the building down. And I'm here for questions as well as specifics.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Lane? I just have one question. So most of the receiving is going to be done off of Woodruff. Well, all of the receiving will be done in the back.
Yes.
And then there's the pedestrian pathway. So the closest residence to that back receiving area, approximately.
From the receiving area is actually is right up at the front, right up Woodruff Avenue. So we're talking in this area. It would be so the trucks will be parking here. This is the existing apartment building, and so it's sort of shallow. And then you've got, I would say, about 150 feet or so to the nearest residential.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else? Thanks for coming out today.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody have any comments? Question of staff? Councillor Nussbaum?
Thank you, Chair. Just a question with regard to the zoning bylaw amendment application that was done in January 2012. Just out of curiosity, was it the same applicant or a different applicant?
It was the same applicant.
And I noticed that there are no Section 37 benefits as a result of the fact that when you go from the 14 stories or the 47 meters to the current application, it doesn't qualify under Section 37
That's
provision.
correct.
Is there a concern that or is there an opportunity that if an owner of a property wants to come twice and zone twice each time, or neither time qualifying for Section 37, versus coming once and going from whatever it was to the final product, I'm just wondering a little bit about whether our Section 37 policy is permitting or allowing for, I'm not saying that the applicant did this purposefully, but does it not allow an opportunity to break up an application for rezoning twice in order to avoid Section 37 benefits? Because I presume if you were to take the zoning from 2011 versus what's being requested now, it probably would qualify for Section 37. So I'm just wondering whether the policy anticipates that.
Madam Chair, I don't believe it does. However, I'm happy to review the policy and provide you with a written response.
Okay, thanks.
So on the zoning bylaw amendments, 929 Richmond Road and 108 Woodruff Avenue?
Yeas and nays.
You want yeas and nays? Okay, yeas and nays on it have been called. Councillor Blais? Yes. Councillor Brockington? Yes. Councillor Shirelli? Yes. Councillor Cloutier?
Yes.
Councillor Hubley?
Yes.
Councillor Leeper?
Yes.
Councillor Nussbaum?
Yes.
Councillor Kadri?
Yes.
Vice Chair Tierney's not here. Councillor Me? Yes. Councillor Me? Oh, boy. Councillor Me, eh? Yeah. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 0. So it passes. Thank you. Okay, so that is all of the items that we have, but I just wanted to point out that there's a couple of residents that came and they were late coming and they wanted to speak to item number 7, which is the overlay. And of course, we've already voted on that. But fortunately, and this is, I'm speaking to the two of you, fortunately, you've provided us with a lot of comments. This will be treated the same as if you had sat here for your 5 minutes. What's going to happen is our committee coordinator, Ms. Duffany, is going to make sure that not only do we all have this, but also all members of council will have this, because it will go to council only on the 27th of this month. Okay? So even though you came up after we had voted on it, your comments are going to be seriously taken before the full council votes on it. So thank you very much for coming out and doing this. Councillor Shirelli?
Yes, I wanted to point out as well that I've asked staff to address some of these questions before council, and they've indicated they will.
Okay, so, and you'll share that with your residents? So we have, Councillor Shirley has already asked some of the questions that you have contained in here of staff, and they're going to have the information to us before council as well. Okay? So thank you for coming out today. So, any notices of motion for consideration at a subsequent meeting? No? Any inquiries? Any other business? I will tell you that the next meeting on the 26th is a whopper. We have over 20 items. Don't make any other plans. I know that it's prime graduation time. One of my grandsons included. And so I will be scooting out for a brief time to see that. He's going from grade 6 to grade 7. Anyway, so if you're going to have conflicts on that day, I think we're also going to be in the council chamber, because we can't really predict. We don't want people uncomfortable. I mean, it's just easier to go there in case we have a lot of people coming out. If you have conflicts that you're going to have to leave and come back, please let Ms. Duffany know so that we can coordinate so we don't lose quorum. No, it's not going to be a 2-day. We'll be rolling on. Huh? I don't think it'll be midnight, but when would I ever stay that long? Yeah, it's not a 2-dayer. It's Yeah. So what we'll do is we have agenda clearing tomorrow. I'll have a sense of it then. We can talk about some, logistics and stuff like that, and we'll give you our best guess. But until the public delegation sign up, we really don't know, right? But we'll have a sense. And then, of course, it's in your hands too, and you can help move things along. All right. 9:30. Yes, I know. I already told her when that first came out. It is the Deputy Chief, Jill Skinner's retirement breakfast, and 2 members of the Ottawa Police Services Board are on this planning committee, and they won't be able to go either. So, okay? That's why we get paid the big bucks for serving on the #1 committee. All right, so, pardon? Yeah, we don't get any more money for anything, including me, not a cent. Okay, so we are adjourned, and I'll see you on the I'll see you at council tomorrow, but we'll be back here on the 26th of June.